Here I am. Hey, everybody. It's Lauren Blanchard-Zaleski. Welcome to Gratefully Living the Chronic Life. Have a very special guest tonight, so I'm thrilled that you're all here. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to put them on. We're kind of an interactive broadcast, so I try to get as much on screen as possible. I come to you every week, every Thursday evening, to talk about different topics relating to living our best lives, kind of geared to people with chronic pain and illness, but really our topics tend to kind of span where it applies to anybody who has struggles in their life, and that's just about everybody. So I want to thank our last guest, Anastasia Bean, who was here with us 2 weeks ago talking about how to thrive in a recovery mindset. That was a great episode. And for those of you in the group, I have a Facebook group up here in the corner, Attitude of Gratitude with Chronic Pain. We are a closed group on Facebook. We have about 6,000 members, and we strive to live our best lives with chronic pain and illness, with a heavy dose of gratitude put in there. So we would love to have you as a member if you would like to join. We have we have a great guest coming up next week. Where is she? There she is. Joy Selak is going to be with us. She is the author of a book called You Don't Look, let me get this off of here. You Don't Look Sick, Living Well with Invisible Chronic Pain and Illness. So she's going to be with us next week, next Thursday at 8 o'clock. I'm excited for that. And many of you in the group know that I've been on a writing sabbatical from the group for a few weeks, working on my own book, which has been a labor of love, and it is much more difficult than I expected. And our guest tonight, Dan Millman, who I'll bring on right now, he has written 17 books, or is that outdated information, Dan?
Yes, it is.
It's outdated information?
Well, it's slightly outdated. I just finished my 18th and perhaps final book, a memoir, a nice way to wrap up my writing career. It only took me 40 years to write the first 17. And so the memoir is coming out in January of next year.
Great. Well, this is Dan Millman, everybody. For me, he's certainly not a stranger. I'm a huge fan of Dan Millman's. He's the author of, like I said, 17 books. His most popular and well-known is Way of the Peaceful Warrior, which was put out in 1984. Is that right, Dan, or somewhere around there?
Yes, the paperback came out in 1984.
So it's a very popular book. Like I said, it's a spiritual, what would you call it? A parable, sort of, based on real life experiences.
Right. It's a novel based on an autobiographical experience.
Great. So I want to talk about that because Dan's got an incredible story himself, an incredible wisdom that he has to gift to all of us. But before we get into that, let me just read you a short bio of Dan's. He's a former world champion athlete, gymnastics coach, martial arts instructor, and college professor. Authored 17 books, published in 29 languages. Way of the Peaceful Warrior was adapted to film in 2006. It's a film with Nick Nolte in it. It's a very good film. Dan also speaks worldwide. And to learn more about his books, events, online courses, and life purpose app, go to peacefulwarrior.com, which I have on here. Peacefulwarrior.com. He's got a beautiful website. There we go, peacefulwarrior.com. You can find out more about Dan. So Dan, gosh, I have so many questions I want to ask you, but can you tell us a little bit maybe about you, and if you could tell us about Way of the Peaceful Warrior and how you think that could help people who struggle living with chronic pain and illness, that would be fabulous.
Sure, I'm happy to do so. That's why I was so glad to accept your invitation, because I have a few things to share on the subject. I have had my own elements of pain in my life. As a young gymnast, I ended up, beat my body up, as many athletes do, and dancers and so on. And I also had a motorcycle crash I describe in that book and in the movie, which shattered my right femur. People have been injured worse, head injuries and so on. But it was somewhat disappointing. I was heading for the World Championships to train with the elite gymnasts in the world 2 days after that, when my motorcycle collided with the car, and it set me back some. And I suffered the results of that for years, shorter external rotation, and so on. I've also had 2 spinal surgeries, again, related to the motorcycle crash, and a couple of hip and knee replacements. So I am familiar with discomfort, with pain, with bone on bone arthritis and so on. And everyone has something different to deal with. And sometimes I ask my audiences, when I'm speaking before groups, please raise your hand if you've ever experienced physical, emotional, or mental pain in your life. Of course, all the hands go up.
Right.
And I say, it's okay if you disagree with something I say, because if we agree on everything, then only one of us is necessary. So disagreement's fine, but I hope we can agree on this. Wouldn't you say that pain, emotional, mental, or physical, or all three, don't you think because of that adversity, that challenge, that difficulty, wouldn't you say you're just a little bit stronger now, maybe a little bit wiser in terms of having more perspective about life, what the big stuff is and what the little stuff is? So people can't agree on that. And it's not that we have to pretend that we like it or welcome it. Nobody likes pain. Pain is the signal of the body. We need to put attention on it in some sense, to take care of it and do what we can to alleviate it. Clarence Darrow once said, "Nothing is quite so satisfying as being shot at and missed." And sometimes we get hits. An old teacher of mine said, "Sometimes we get the elevator, sometimes we get the shaft." I mean, that's part of life. But I can relate on a personal level. I'm not just, I'm part of the choir, not just preaching to it.
I bet.
So let me just start with a story I remember from a long time ago. This fellow was really upset because he'd just gotten a new lawn in his backyard. It was beautiful new sod growing in. And then, though, crabgrass started growing up through it, a common weed, we call it. And he wrote to the government to complain about this. He wrote to the Department of Agriculture, and they wrote back, and they suggested something that discourages weeds and crabgrass and so on. And he tried it, but it didn't work. And then he wrote back again and said it didn't work. And they told him something stronger he could try. Well, that didn't work either. And then he tried 3 and 4 times. He kept writing back. And finally, they wrote back just 4 words: learn to love crabgrass.
I like that.
I think all your listeners and viewers might relate to that. They understand we don't have to really pretend to love it or even feel grateful for it, but we can appreciate it with perspective. The difficulty we have, we are stronger, we are wiser. We're different people in a sense, more compassionate. When I see someone walking using crutches or limping down the sidewalk or a cane, I often stop to say hello and explain I was dealing with things too. And it makes a bond, a compassionate bond. So it's, again, we do what we can to alleviate pain. If it turns out to be in some sense chronic or illness or a condition, I know a lady who had a stroke and a second one soon after, and she said, she looked at a Picasso painting and she said, "That's how I see the world." And it's like this pointillist thing. So she sees differently. She has, kind of distorted views, and she gets dizzy sometimes, but she's managing. She can ride her bike. She loves biking and so on. So we make the best with what we have. We all know this.
Right.
But here's the thing. Not only do we intuitively appreciate adversity, the idea that daily life is a form of spiritual weight training. You don't lift any weights, you don't get any stronger. Life develops what it demands. And sometimes it places a big demand on us. We all know this. And it develops inner strength. It tempers our spirit. And we become more mature and deeper people because of it. I suspect that's true of you, Lauren. I have no doubt at all. And I think your book will probably reflect that.
Yeah, I had a rock bottom myself, a dark time where I kind of had it was a life or death situation, which has kind of catapulted me into a new life purpose and my what I feel is my passion and meaning in life. So I can relate to you on that level for sure. But even an attitude of gratitude with chronic pain, we say you don't have to like it, but you can't really, and I don't know if you agree with this or not, but you can't really move forward in a journey without accepting it as reality, at least for the right now.
Well, as I tell people, I wouldn't be speaking with you now. You wouldn't have invited me on your show. I probably wouldn't have written my book had I not had that shattered leg. I might be some sports announcer, who knows what. So my life did make a turn. It shook me up. I'm pointing up right now, and made me ask deeper questions about life. So in that sense, I'm appreciative of what happened.
Yes,
I made the best use of it. And so I think life will lift us up or grind us down depending on our response. I think it was E.M. Forrester once said, "How do I know what I think until I see what I do?" So I'm a behavior-based person. Like, again, what can I do now in my situation to improve it? If I can't, to accept it, flow with it, make use of it. We all intuitively appreciate adversity. In fact, often we volunteer for it, knowing how it strengthens us. And some people are puzzled by that. Why would I volunteer for adversity? But let's look at it this way. I sometimes ask, have you ever done practice a sport in your younger days, let's say, or a musical instrument, or learned a skill, or maybe chess or something else? And many people go, yes. And I go, well, that's voluntary adversity. No one made you do it. Life would have been easier had you not tackled that challenge.
Good point.
Many people went to college, weren't in competitive sport. They just went to San Francisco, from Cal, and hung out in the afternoons, visited with friends when they weren't doing homework and so on. Well, I was training hard. So I volunteered for that. And in the same way, I ask how many of you have maintained an intimate relationship with someone for, say, more than 2 weeks. You raise their hand, and I go, voluntary adversity. My wife, Joanna, 45 years. She's my guardian angel, and
she is. She's in the book, or at least somebody with the same name is in the book.
Yes, exactly. Same name, same spirit. Well, and again, it's funny. It took me at least 25 years to realize my wife was not criticizing me; she was improving me. So she's been doing that ever since. And relationship, even the best of relationships, are not easy. We all know that,
right?
And how many of you have children? Well, voluntary adversity.
True story.
Love my grandkids. But it's not easy. Our nerve endings are right out there with them. And how many people are involved with business? Voluntary adversity, all of it. So we all intuit that's what develops us. That's why each of us is a peaceful warrior in training. And I don't use that term loosely. How many of us are seeking to live with a more peaceful heart amidst the challenges of everyday life? More serenity, equanimity. Yeah. So, and at the same time, we recognize, and I think most of your listeners do, and your viewers, is that there are times we need a warrior's spirit. Just to get up in the morning, go about our day, do what we need to do. And I remember doing these things when getting up meant hurting, either my back before I had that surgery, which was very useful, or my knee. How far do we have to walk to the market again? Those things. So, but I did it. I went to the market. I got up. And that's, of course, we know that's really what matters day by day. And, somebody once told me, she was in a lot of emotional pain, and she said, I can't stand it for another minute. And I went, really? And I looked at my watch, and I waited a full minute. And I said, you know what? You just did handle it another minute, and you'll be able to do the minute after that. When we focus on the present moment, which is the only moment of reality. Now, I say that not to be believed. I say that to be understood. What we call the past doesn't exist anymore. It is a set of neural impulses in our brain we call memory. And we can say, I remember 5 minutes ago. I remember my 12th birthday. But we're remembering it in this present moment, which is all we have.
That's a good
Someone can show me a photograph of 3 weeks ago, and I'll say, but what they're doing is they're showing me an image right now. We call the past. And the future doesn't exist. It's always the future.
Right.
It's just our imagination. So all we really have is the present moment. That's the paradox, because the body can't live anywhere but the present. But the mind mistakes the past and future.
Yes.
Attention drifts to what we call the past, and we suffer. We go, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Or, oh, that meeting coming up in 20 minutes. I'm not looking forward to that. But it's not real. It's not happening right now.
Mm.
Right now.
Yeah.
The more we focus on now, the better we can handle it. Because anybody can handle discomfort or a situation or a difficulty in this moment. When we project it, but it's gone on for so long. Forget about that.
Yeah.
And it's going to go into the future. We don't know anything about the future. We just know now. What do we need to do now? And so that's why that present orientation and action orientation, because we have a lot less control by our will over what feelings pass through us like the weather. You know, emotions come and go. They change all the time. And so now emotions are very valuable. We can learn a lot from our emotions. They can convey information to us, but we can't actually control them. We can't just will ourselves to feel differently than the way we feel in this moment.
Which makes us nuts. We want to control everything.
Yeah, we want to control it all. And
Right.
It's fine to control what we can control. But if we start to try to control what we can't, that's why I told my athletes when I was a coach at Stanford University, I said, don't strive for success. That's not in your control, but strive for excellence.
Mm.
That is
I
in
love
your
that.
control. And if you strive for excellence, well, you know, we can't control the outcomes of any effort, but we can control the effort. And by making a good effort over time, we're more likely to achieve the outcomes we like over not making the effort. So
Excellent.
effort is success. So I define success as making progress toward a goal that's meaningful to us. To me, regular progress is ongoing success. It's not
achieving the goal,
No.
but striving for it.
Exactly. Moving toward it. That's when we're most absorbed and excited about something that draws us, that absorbs us. And that's especially important if we're dealing with pain. There are times we forget it. We're not in pain every second of the day.
Right.
Our attention drifts to throwing a Frisbee if we can and reaching out to catch it. We're not thinking about the past or future. We're just pure awareness like a cat in the present moment.
And we don't realize it when it happens, when we have those fleeting moments of not thinking about our pain. We don't tend to realize it unless we're, very much in a mindful mindset, at least for me anyway. I tend to not, unless I'm completely aware in that moment. I will let that moment will come and go that I haven't thought about my pain, and I will forget about it or not know about it.
Absolutely. That's a good point. It really is. And I've experienced that too. Because when we're not thinking about it, we're not thinking about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And people often there's this saying, Barbara Rasp, a writer, once said, the lesson is simple, the student is complicated. And
Very true.
We complicate everything. We complicate with layers of emotion, feeling guilty about being angry or feeling ashamed of feeling fear. Well, one emotion stacked on top of another. All of it is natural. I recommend people accept their emotions and their thoughts, because we can't control our thoughts.
Right.
Now, there's a lot of books on mind control and positive thinking. And often I ask audiences, raise your hand if you've read a book on positive thinking. And lots of hands go up, and I go, great. Having read that book, how many of you have only had positive thoughts, say, for the last week? All the hands go down.
Yeah.
Yes, but you believe if you'd read the book twice, if you'd highlighted it, all the exercises, then maybe
I've highlighted the heck out of this thing.
Well, I'm not about positive thinking, because sometimes
No, you're not.
Sometimes my thoughts are positive and sometimes they're not.
Right.
But I don't take them seriously. They're just thought stuff. And emotions come and go. They wave through us like a changing weather. And we don't have a spam filter in our head that can stop a negative thought. So, and in fact, I don't even believe in repressed emotions, because how can you have an unfelt feeling? Is that like having an unthunk thought? You're either thinking something or you're not. You're either feeling something or you're not. And it changes all the time. But I focus on behavior because we have more control over what we do, how we move our arms and legs, what we accomplish, what we tackle. We have more control over that than we do what feelings pop into our awareness or what thoughts arise and we notice them. Thoughts happen to us. They're not things we don't say, I think I'll think this thought next. They just arise in our awareness.
Right.
So getting rid of those complications, many people are concerned with stress. They go, well, my pain and my condition is so stressful. And I go, well, that may be. Now, I can share right now, a method to never feel stress again. Want to hear it?
Yes.
But I see our time is almost up. So. All right, here it comes. Here's how to not feel any stress. Don't care about anything. Now, that advice is somewhat tongue-in-cheek because we do care. We care about our loved ones, about our lives. We're engaged with life. So stress is a natural part of life, not just in the bad times, but in the good times. Family gatherings can be stressful. A wedding can be stressful. So stress, well, we call stress as a part of life. But interesting thing about stress, it's another paradox because it seems like a something, but actually it doesn't exist. Show me it. Hold it up in your hands. I want to see what it looks like. It's just a word we have for people who describe a not feeling good, a feeling of pressure. Maybe it's a rising pressure in their head or tension. But here's the thing. The way you deal with stress is, and something you can control, is you relax. Relax the body. Anyone who can tense the body, and we can all do that at will. We can tense our arms, our legs, our whole body, which means we can also let out our breath, shake loose. And I'll tell you what, stress and tension is a different kind of critter than stress and relaxation. So in the most stressful situation, we can go, I feel so stressed out right now. But if we're relaxed at the same time, that obviates, eliminates most of what we call the harmful effects of stress. It's not stress that hurts us. It's tension. And we can control, yes, and we can control how much tension we have. It's the tension that arises when we're feeling stressed. It's the inhibited breathing. So if we just take a deep breath, we can do that. That's under our control, and shake loose. Whenever we're feeling stressed, fine, be stressed, but be relaxed and stressed.
In the group, quite often, I'll put up I have a graphic that just says, okay, in this moment, release your shoulders, unclench your jaw, breathe deeply, because we don't even realize we're doing it. We'll be tensed up all the time or breathing very shallowly, at least for me, and not even realize it. And I can go on all day like that. Exactly.
And that's one value of deep relaxation exercises is the body starts to experience what it's like to be really relaxed. And we can return to that state more easily and more often. Is just by saying to ourselves, relax, and we let go. Instead of unconsciously, unawares, tensing our stomach, our thighs, our back, our neck, our head, our face, our jaw, and learning to just let loose.
Right.
And that is something that is in our control. We can practice that and get better at it.
Right.
That's what we can do in response. And I'll tell you, if somebody's in pain or discomfort and they're relaxed and breathing, that is a different experience than if they're in pain or discomfort and they're tense and they're inhibited breathing.
It's true. One feeds off the other, and it's a vicious cycle. Exactly. I've encountered that myself for sure.
Those are practical things we can do.
Yep.
I was working in a bodywork school years ago. This is after I wrote Peaceful Warrior. It went out of print for a while. I needed a job, 2 little children.
Peaceful Warrior went out of print?
Oh, it did. When it first came out in hardback in 1980, it died quickly. There's a longer story behind that. But my editor, because it's a novel based on a true story, so she wrote as the subtitle, a basically true story, which was a clever subtitle, but the bookstores didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Does it go in fiction or nonfiction? And in those days,
now it's as a book that changes lives.
Exactly. Well, here's what happened. There was there was no Amazon. There was no online book selling.
Good
just
point.
Bookshelves, stores, and they didn't know where to put it. It looked like an unusual book. What is this thing? It didn't fit in religion exactly, or philosophy, or psychology. It was something kind of a blend, and so they didn't know what to do with it. So very few stores wanted it. The chains took no copies. So it went out of print. It died very quickly, and I got the rights back. And then it was only 4 years later that this retired publisher named Hal Kramer read a copy of the out-of-print book and said, I love this book. I'm going back into publishing. And he started with Peaceful Warrior. Then the word of mouth started. Yeah. So that's its story. But meanwhile, I was working as an administrator in a bodywork school. And I remember one Friday, Joy and the children were coming to pick me up. I wanted to finish this work before they came. I had a half an hour, and I had forms to fill out. And I was rushing, and I had people to call. And I felt the blood rising to my head, the pressure, a headache building. And then I happened to glance out the window, and I saw a cloud drifting across the sky. And it wasn't racing the wind, and it wasn't dawdling. It was just kind of going with the and it looked so serene, that cloud, that in that moment it was my teacher. And I found myself taking a deep breath, saying, what was I doing to myself? And relaxing. And I got all the work done, filling out the forms, making the calls, but I did it in a relaxed way. I was building this thing up for myself. You know, when I was a coach at Stanford, I walked into the gym one day, and one of the gymnasts was lying on his back. His name was Brian, and he was stretching, pulling his straight leg knee to his chest, working on splits. But I heard him muttering to himself, oh, this hurts so much, I hate it. And I turned to him and said, Brian, who's doing it to you? It's like, he was, and some of us live that way. Mm-hmm. And so maybe we can just let go of some of that and say it's like, okay, maybe we deserve a little relaxation, a little freedom from this or that. And I always like to ask people who are in a difficult situation, what if you knew when you were 15 years old, when you were born, when you were a child, what if they said, here's the script of your life. This is what's going to happen. This is how you're going to make the best of your life. You're going to have these spiritual weights to lift and these difficulties. If we'd known that all along, that this is part of our life path, this is what's going to develop us, we might take it with a different attitude than the whole victim thing. Why did this happen to me? Did I do something wrong? And trying to make all these meanings of it, rather than this is my life right now. Let's make the best of it.
Right. And that can be a tough pill to swallow at times, pun sort of intended. But you know, I think a lot of us, like, nobody comes to the Attitude of Gratitude group when they're first diagnosed or injured. It's usually requires a journey at first of trying to cure yourself, and the stages of grief and all of that, not necessarily in order. So it's usually people that have been sick or injured for quite a while who are just ready to, I'll try anything, let's kind of turn it over and let go and have acceptance, the stuff that you teach. And your teacher, for those of you that aren't familiar with the book, like I mentioned, it's a parable, but he has a teacher. He's in college, Dan is, and he has a teacher named Socrates who kind of teaches him the meaning of life. Would you say? Is that it's very general? I realize it, but their relationship throughout the book is profound.
Well, another little book I'd recommend is called The Laws of Spirit. And off air, send me your address and I'll get you a copy. Okay, Lauren?
Oh yeah, thank you.
I think you'd enjoy it. And I think your listeners will too. It's a book I wrote quite some time ago, The Laws of Spirit, because the first law of spirit is a law of acceptance. Now, in most of the work of one of my colleagues, Byron Katie, maybe you've heard of her.
Yeah,
and she's all about the law of acceptance and not resisting what is. So she articulates that beautifully. And I had that, of course, years before I ever heard of her or met her. I wrote that in The Laws of Spirit. It's one of the 12 spiritual laws. I outline how to utilize them and apply them to our daily lives. The law of choices, the law of presence, of process, of compassion, and action and acceptance, and other laws as well. And it's a small book. It's a parable about an ageless woman sage I meet in the mountains, and she teaches me these laws through the natural world. So,
oh wow,
Yeah, many people find it their favorite book of mine. So I
Really?
Yeah.
So it's called the Laws of Spirit.
The Laws of Spirit. Yeah.
That's still in print. People can find that on Amazon.
Absolutely. It's everywhere available.
Sounds great. You talk. You said something that just. Oh, choices. We're talking about choices, and I know you don't have much time left with us, but you talk in Way of the Peaceful Warrior about how we all, we have these choices to make. A lot of times we feel like we don't have choices, right? Can you touch on that a little bit? And as far as like our choices when we feel kind of stuck and struggling in our lives?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
In the story, in the Laws of Spirit, we come to a fork in the road. And the sage said, which way do you choose to go? And I looked at both forks and I go back and forth. And then I go, I think I'll go this way. And she says, thank you. Now, please make a choice. And I said, well, no, maybe you didn't hear me. I said, I want to go this way. And she said, yes, now I'm waiting for your decision. And I said, I don't understand. And she kept this up. And I finally just got in a huff and started walking. She said, thank you for making a decision. We think we make decisions in our heads, but we make a decision when we act. And I was complaining about something, feeling like a victim. And she said, you know what I recommend you should do when you get home? Divorce you, ask your wife for a divorce. And I went, what? That's my wife. I couldn't do that. It would be horrible. The finances, the kids, she said, oh, I hear you giving me all these reasons you can't ask your wife for a divorce. Now, the point she was making was she didn't really want me to ask for a divorce. But she said, you believe you can't do that. She said, until you realize you have the power to say no, whether it's a relationship, a job, where you live, you never truly say yes. You go through life, well, I have to because of this and because of that, and I have to do the job and I have to do this. Until we realize we have the power to say no, no, no. It doesn't mean we need to do that or want to do that. But when we realize we have the power to say no, we truly, then we can say yes, that we are choosing who we're with, what we're doing, where we live, and our whole life, to choose it, to take responsibility for it. Not that it's our fault or we created it. I'm not of that school. How sometimes I created my illness. No, sometimes things just happen to us.
A lot of people struggle with that. They have so much guilt thinking that they did something.
Exactly. And they find reasons to make up meanings for it.
Right.
But without all the meanings, life happens, it unfolds, we respond. Life comes at us in waves of change that we cannot predict or control, but we can learn to surf. And that's all about, learning to surf well.
That is, we're good surfers, but all of these things that you talk about in this book and your other books and just tonight, it's all stuff that I think everybody struggles with, but in particular people with chronic pain and illness, the guilt, the fear. How can you stay in the present moment? How do you find the balance? And I know you've got a section in one of your books about moderation, what Socrates says about moderation, but how do you find that you can't just kind of throw everything to the wind because you have to do some kind of planning, right?
Sure, of course. We can plan our day. I do often, but don't get attached to the plans because life has other ideas. The paradox is we don't have to learn to stay in the present moment. We have to see that past and future are illusions.
I like that.
We think they're real. Then we realize the only moment of power and sanity we have is what's in front of us right now. And that's probably a good time to close because I'll have another commitment right now. So I've got to run. But
thank you so much. Before you leave, I'm staying on with you guys, but Dan has graciously offered an autographed copy of Way of the Peaceful Warrior. He's going to sign a plate for us to put in the book. So Dan, thank you. I could talk to you for another couple of hours, but I am so grateful for the time that you have given to us. So thank you, Dan Millman, for being here with us tonight.
Lauren, it's my pleasure.
Nice meeting you, Dan. Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Oh, man, what a great guest. I could have talked to him for hours. He just has so much wisdom and knowledge. I hope that you guys got a lot out of him as well. When he said he could only give us 30 minutes, I knew it was going to go fast, and it certainly did. I have a whole sheet of questions I wanted to ask him. But But anyway, my producer Campbell is here with us again tonight. So we're giving away a free copy of The Way of the Peaceful Warrior. And like I just said, Dan Millman has offered to sign a autograph plate to put in the book. So to be put into the running, Campbell, I think Campbell's actually counting everybody who has commented, I believe she's putting into our Wheel of Fortune. Campbell, maybe you can chat me and just let me know if that's the case. If not, if you want to put like hashtag peaceful warrior, anything you type will put you in the running for the book and maybe another prize. Oh, here's Campbell. Let's see. I have all the people so far. So if you've commented already, thank you. And Campbell's got your name for the Wheel of Fortune for our prize. So let me get to some comments. I'm sorry that I didn't get to more comments when Dan was on. I really just wanted to optimize the time we had with him. Wasn't he amazing? The Facebook users, if you're watching us from inside the group Attitude of Gratitude with Chronic Pain, when you log in, unless you grant StreamYard permission to use your name and likeness, on my screen you show up as Facebook user because we're a closed group. So I apologize for that. Unfortunately, it's a Facebook rule that we can't get around. But if you do grant them permission, the next time you comment, your name and photo will show up. That being said, however, for the drawing, Campbell is able to see all of your names. She's watching on something different, so do not worry. Your name is all set for the drawing. Another Facebook user. Hello, Tammy Blizzard. Greetings. Linda Canalicchio, hi there. Hi, Dan. Thanks for joining us. Karen, your hand is up. I think it's when I put my hand up about wanting peace, right? We didn't even I wanted him to talk about what is a peaceful warrior. Maybe I could talk about that now. If any of you have read the book or watched the film and want to contribute your thoughts, I would love to discuss them with you. Hi, Dan, says Karen. Francis, were you correctly quoted as saying willpower is the key to success? Oh, I'm sorry, Fran. I can ask him. I can email him that. It does sound like something he would say, doesn't it? Willpower is the key to success. It does sound like something from In Way of the Peaceful Warrior, but I don't want to answer for him. I will ask him. And again, I apologize for not getting to it when he was on. Pamela Creighton's here. Thank you, Dan, for being here. Kyle Tucker, he was amazing. I love Millman. No joke, right? Thank you for being here, Kyle. Karen, I could have listened for hours. My mom, what a neat and inspiring man. He really is. Like I mentioned, In Way of the Peaceful Warrior, which again is a feature film. You can rent it on Amazon for a couple dollars. But it's part true story, but part parable, kind of talking about a moral to the story and life lessons. So he meets this character who runs a gas station. He calls him Socrates, played by Nick Nolte in the film. And this man figure teacher taught him throughout the book the lessons of life and getting through adversity, like he did with his motorcycle accident. You know, he was a world-class gymnast, like he shared with us, whose career he thought was ended with that devastating accident. Don't want to give away any spoilers. I think you guys should get the book. It has sold millions of copies. It really is just that good. Facebook user, hello. Thank you for being here. Heidi's here. He was great. I agree. Hashtag Peaceful Warrior, Kyle. Kyle wants that book. Isabel. Hey, Isabel. Thanks for being here. Wonderful interview. He was. Laura Myers. He was great. Thanks, Lauren. Hey, Laura. Thanks for being here. Sarah Garrison's here. Hello. We've got so many great viewers tonight. Hi, Peaceful Warrior. Such good thoughts. I agree. Debbie, I loved his viewpoint and tools for us to use. I wish I could have had him on for the entire hour, but I know even that would have been too little. So I'll just be grateful for the time we got. And I didn't want to interrupt him too much because I just wanted to let him go and do his thing. He's just got such an amazing outlook through his teacher Socrates, or whatever you want to call him at the universe. Through his teachings, has so much to offer all of us. There were some quotes that I was hoping to get to with him tonight, but didn't. At the end of the book, when he and Socrates are ready to kind of part ways, Socrates says to him, "From the start, I've shown you the way of the peaceful warrior, not the way to the peaceful warrior. As long as you tread the way, you are a warrior. These past 8 years, you have abandoned your warriorship, so you could search for it, but the way is now, it always has been." And then Dan says, "So what do I do now? Where do I go from here?" And Socrates says, "Who cares?" He yelled gleefully. "A fool is happy when his cravings are satisfied. A warrior is happy without reason. That's what makes happiness the ultimate discipline. Above all else, I have taught you, happiness is not just something you feel, it is who you are." And he talks about his journey being a journey towards, and I love this saying, unreasonable happiness. A journey towards unreasonable happiness. And he talks about happy with Socrates a lot in the group in a lot of similar ways that we tend to talk about gratitude being a feeling, a fleeting feeling, and gratefulness being kind of a way of life and a way of living. And that's how he talks about happy and happiness as well. Happy is an immediate reaction, where happiness is, what do you call it? It is who you are. And he also goes on to say, act happy, be happy without a reason in the world, then you can love and do what you will. And Socrates tells him that it's the final task I will ever give you, and it goes on forever. I'll repeat that. Act happy, be happy without a reason in the world, then you can love and do what you will. So I'm looking forward to your comments. Oh, Esther Rosario. Hi there, Esther. Thanks for joining us. Lauren, you are so resourceful. You always find some great guests that some of us never heard of. Thank you for this. Thank you, Julia. I get so excited. Thank you, Esther. So glad you're here. Nice to meet you. I get so excited to offer, new exciting guests and information and wisdom to us all, because for me at least, and I know I'm not unique, and I would venture to guess that you're all similar, I take little nuggets of wisdom from each person that I read from, that I hear, that I have the honor of talking to in person. And I put that into my own tool belt, so to speak, and I use them towards my next minute, my next now. And I learn along the way all of these life's lessons. And I enjoy, since hitting my rock bottom 8 years ago and being a part of Lauren 2.0, as I like to call her, my second chance at life. I love learning about myself. In the beginning, when I was getting sober and was in the pain program for a month and, kind of not knowing what happened, it was difficult to look at myself. And it's still not always easy, because sometimes you see things that you don't like. But I sure do enjoy learning along the way and making, kind of easing my journey with this life with chronic pain and illness. And ease and comfort is not something that comes easily to us. I'm sure you can all relate to that. So I would love to hear from you guys. Comment about what you thought of Dan. If you have any thoughts on what he shared, if you've read his books, his work before. I do have some quotes of his that I shared in the group that I'll share with all of you, because they're just, I swear, you look at, I don't know, I've read like 3 of his books. So there's like 14 I have not read. And now he's going to send me that one, which is fabulous. But I swear the entire book is just quote after quote after quote. I get excited about inspirational quotes, and that's the entire book for me. Heidi says, my husband and I watched the movie this afternoon. I haven't read the book. That's awesome, Heidi. I'm glad you guys watched the movie. What did you think of it? Similar to the book. And Dan told me before we got on the air that he actually has a cameo in the film, that he, I guess he had wanted to be on set more, but he told me the work that he was working on at the time, and now I forget what it was. It may have been a seminar of some kind. They filmed, well, the movie came out in 2006. So he said he was hoping to be on set more. I know he did write the adapted screenplay, but he said he only got to visit twice, and he got to spend time with Nick Nolte. But he did say that he has a cameo in the film. There's a scene at the gas station where I guess Dan is in the car. And I think I just read this scene again recently, but he reaches up to grab something kind of without knowing, like something comes flying at him and he reaches up to grab it. I believe that's how it goes. And he said Dan is the one, the real Dan is the one in the car, and he has some kind of reaction. He said like this, So a little piece of trivia I have to offer you here in Gratefully Living the Chronic Life tonight. Heidi says, I loved it. I didn't ask my husband what he thought. They're great life lessons for, like I said, for all of us. Let me try to pull up those quotes that I was referring to. We actually don't have a whole lot of time left, but his quotes are just amazing. Let's see, what do we have here? Oh, this is an app that I am using to track my progress in writing the book. I don't know if you guys can see, it's a little small, I realize. But so what I've circled here is I've set 50,000 words as my goal, which is a typical, I think, 150 to 200 page book. So I'm 89% done with just the words part. Then I have to edit it and all that. So I believe I've talked to Linda, our senior moderator. I believe I am going to take 2 more weeks off so I can get it edited. And I'd love to have manuscript ready to go out to literary agents. I've really done a lot of work, and it's been much more difficult than I expected, but very rewarding. And I thank you, Linda, Arlene, Jen, and Deborah, for your help in allowing me to be on sabbatical these 2 weeks. So anyway, that's that. But let's get to the quotes. Here's Dan. If you want peace of mind, I suggest you resign as general manager of the universe. I love that quote. And it's so, I will say it's so me because I can only speak for myself, but I know that you guys can all relate to that, at least some of you. General manager of the universe is a role that I very much enjoy. I want to be general manager of the universe. I want to be general manager basically of everything. But I'm finding that this is not possible. Shocker. So when we learn to let go of dancing, when we learn to let go of trying to control things, peace will come to us. Ooh, did I just share the wrong thing? No, I didn't. And we, if you guys have been watching me for a while, Vidyamala Birch, who's a mindfulness expert and teacher, was on with us a couple months ago. She is amazing. And if you go back and watch my old episodes, you can watch and enjoy what she has to say. But she has very, very similar thoughts to what Dan is sharing with us here, and that you can have peace when you try to let go of controlling things. And coming from a 12-step background myself, we talked about Chronic Pain Anonymous last week. And I'm part of another 12-step fellowship as well. They talk a lot about relinquishing control, which is a difficult thing to do. So that's a great quote. This is what I was referring to with Dan that I wanted to bring up with him when he talks about moderation, because for me, at least, my journey consists of learning to find balance in my life, because being that I am a recovering alcoholic, I have the disease of more, as they say. Like I have a hard time doing balance. You know, I double every recipe and there's only 2 of us in the house. Like I think more is better. And I know that it's not, but that's, you know, the innate thinking in my mind says it is. So Dan says, moderation. Oh, this is Socrates talking, by the way. Moderation, it's mediocrity, fear, and confusion in disguise. It's the devil's dilemma. It's neither doing nor not doing. It's the wobbling compromise that makes no one happy. Moderation is for the bland, the apologetic, for the fence sitters of the world afraid to take a stand. It's for those afraid to laugh or cry, for those afraid to live or die. Moderation is lukewarm tea, the devil's own brew. So I apologize for reading that without having Dan here to comment on it, because that's really what I wanted, was to hear his thoughts on that, because I do want to know more about that. Maybe I can email him as well and get his answer. You know, it's a lifelong struggle with me. I'm a lifelong student of learning moderation. And here in this quote, they're obviously trying to get to something, but I don't know what the next lines are. I have to find them. So interesting thoughts, though, on moderation. Before I go on to more, hang on. Before I go on to more, I've got a couple more comments here. Facebook user says, when I watch TV, I usually still hurt, but when I'm creating artwork, the pain disappears. I'm glad you have that. We talk about that a lot in Attitude of Gratitude with chronic pain. We actually have a crafting and cooking, like a side sister group as well, because we like to foster those creative moments where we tend to forget about our pain, even if it's for brief moments. A good friend of mine, Dr. Bruce Singer, who is my mentor and who I studied under for a month at the Chronic Pain and Recovery Program, why did I bring him up? Oh, he refers to these moments of forgetting about your pain as black ducks. If you go, he's got a great Facebook group. It's called Black Duck Moments for Recovery. And I highly recommend it if you join the group. But those moments of forgetting about your pain, he refers to as black ducks. And when you're aware of what they are, you can be a farmer of black ducks and start collecting them because you realize what those moments are. Tammy Blizzard says, haha, my husband would agree. I need to resign as manager of the universe. I'm working on it. Yeah, me too, Tammy, for sure. My mom, FYI, The Way of the Peaceful Warriors on sale on Kindle for $9.32, originally $15.95. That's a good price. Very good price. Thanks, Mom. What's the name of the crafting and cooking group? It is, I don't have that on here. It's, if you're a member of the main group, which is Attitude of Gratitude with Chronic Pain, and I'll put that up here. You have to be a member of our main group to be a member of the satellite groups. Where is it? There it is. Attitude of Gratitude with Chronic Pain is the name of the main group. And then we have links to our sister groups. The sister group that I'm referring to is, I believe it's the AOG Cooking and Crafting Club. I don't know if you're, Carolyn, if you're a member of the main group or not. If you are, and you go to the top graphics in the pinned post, you will see a graphic for sister groups and you will find it in there. If not, you're happy to join our main group, Attitude of Gratitude with Chronic Pain, and then join all of the sister groups as well. So last call, we are winding down. Last call to put your name in and comment anything, really. You can put hashtag Peaceful Warrior or any comments will do, and you will be having your name put into our Wheel of Fortune to be getting a prize, hopefully. Can always hope, right? Let's see. Oh, Campbell, you're so good. Campbell put the link. Thank you, Campbell. Campbell is my new producer. She's also my niece. You have a new craft group. It's not all that new. I'm surprised you're not a member of it, Julia. But yes, if you go into the graphic that says sister groups at the pinned post at the top of the main group, it's been around, I don't know how long it's been around, 6 to 9 months, maybe. But yeah, it's right up your alley for sure. I am a member of the main group. I thought your name sounded familiar. I just didn't want to assume. I'm a member of the main group. Thank you for your help. No problem. We've got that. We've got Attitude of Gratitude with Chronic Pain Journaling Club. We've got AOG Chatting Place, it's called, where I post the daily readings from a book called Living With It Daily, Meditations for People with Chronic Pain. What else do we have? We have a book club, AOG Book Club. But if you go to the sister group graphic at the top of our page in the pinned post, you will see all of our sister groups. And we've got some really amazing ones that are run. Oh, we also have an affirmations group run by our senior moderator, Linda Edwards, who has been a godsend for me while I've been on this sabbatical. Thank you, Campbell. Absolutely. So any last thoughts for you guys on day? Oh, let me put up there was one quote that I really, really want to show you guys. Let me see if I can share it again. I've shared this one in the group several times because it's just fantastic. Here it is. Pain is a relatively objective physical phenomenon. Suffering is our psychological resistance to what happens. Events may create physical pain, but they do not in themselves create suffering. Resistance creates suffering. Stress happens when your mind resists what is. The only problem in your life is your mind's resistance to life as it unfolds. And that is from Your Way of the Peaceful Warrior. Oh my, that is, I was telling Dan before we went on the air, that quote, I don't know where I read it. I had never heard of Dan Millman until I heard that quote several years ago. But when I read that quote, I was blown away, and I'm like, who is Dan Millman? I have to read this book, Way of the Peaceful Warrior. And I've been a fan ever since, but he talks about pain and suffering and resistance, which is something we talk about a lot in the group. I've been writing about it a lot in my book, my upcoming book, which I'm excited to say that I'm finally, making a lot of headway on. very excited about it. It's coming along great. But there's a famous Buddhist formula, I guess you'd call it, that says pain times resistance equals suffering. Pain times resistance equals suffering. And then there's another saying, I believe it's also Buddhist, that says pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. And I say this all the time, probably in just about every week that I'm on the air, that I don't say that I'm suffering any longer. And I talk, I've had broadcasts about this, but I'm also writing about it in the book, about the power of our voice and our inner narrative. To me, saying that I'm suffering is a victim mentality. I say that I struggle, and I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything. When I'm in pain, and I'm feeling those feels very, very deeply. But for me, suffering, that language, I feel like I can control my reaction to the pain and not resisting it, like the formula says, and like what Dan says in his quote, prevents me from suffering. I can suffer if I want to, but I don't want to. So I go with the flow as much as possible, welcome the feelings, say hello to the feelings, and then gladly see them go as they come. But pain times resistance equals suffering. And that quote of Dan's is just perfection, in my opinion, about pain. So we only have a couple minutes left. Campbell, our last comment, I believe here, hopefully you got I'm sure you got the real name for Facebook user, but thank you everybody for being here. So we're going to put up our Wheel of Fortune. So what we have, if you are tuning in late, Dan Millman has kindly agreed you're going to get a brand new copy of Way of the Peaceful Warrior. And Dan is going to send an autograph plate to put right in the cover of the book. I'm jealous. An awesome keepsake that will be. So you're in the Wheel of Fortune, and Campbell, my producer, who is just on the ball as always. Let me get this on the screen. Hang on, Soups. Add to stream. There it is. How cool is this? So all of your names are on here in the Wheel of Fortune, and I forget it. Oh, there it goes. There's spin. Who's our winner? Oh, did it go over the line? Fran Sullivan. Congratulations, Fran. It was so close, Linda. I'm sorry. It was so close. Fran, if you private message me your address, congratulations. Private message me your address, please, and I will make sure that is sent out to you. So cool. Tammy says that wheel is cool, and I agree. She did it for us a couple weeks ago. Missed me by one. So it missed you, Tammy, and Linda. So I am going to offer you both as consolation prizes. You will each get an AOG mask. And if you already have one, private message me and I'll get you something else. So we're gonna spin the wheel 2 more times because I don't have any more autographed copies of the book, but I do have our Attitude of Gratitude with Chronic Pain. Do I have it here? Tote bag. I'll give away 2 of these. So I'll give away 1 of these. So our next spin will be for 1 of these. Tote bag with our logo, and it's got some nice pockets on the inside. And then second will be our new tumbler that comes with the straws. It's Queen of Badassery, Attitude of Gratitude with Chronic Pain. And if you're a gentleman and don't want the queen, I'll get you something else. So let's do 2 more spins, all right? Let's see. Here we go. So this is for the tote bag. So Tammy and Linda, you get a mask. Or if you already have a mask, I'll get you a tote bag. So who's our next winner for our tote bag? Isabel Diaz. Congratulations, Isabel. If you private message me your mailing address, I will make sure to have our Attitude of Gratitude with Chronic Pain tote bag sent out to you. Congratulations. Glad that you won. All right, and our final one is for Queen of Badassery mug or something instead of queen if you're a gentleman. Here we go. Last prize goes to Laura Myers. Congratulations, Laura. You are officially Queen of Badassery. So happy for you. Congratulations to all of you. So if you private message me your address, thank you, Campbell, my producer. for doing these wonderful things for me, this awesome Wheel of Fortune. So congratulations to all of you. Private message me your address. Thank you all so much for being here. Next week, I mentioned it earlier, next week we have Joy H. Selak, the author of You Don't Look Sick, Living Well with Invisible Chronic Illness. She's got a great story and a great message for us to learn from and put in our toolbox. So thank you again for being here. I'm going back into my writing sabbatical to continue writing and focus on the book. I love you all. Thank you to Dan Millman for being here. What a pleasure and an honor it was to have him here. He's been on, I forgot to mention how I found him, but for those of you that watch all the time, it's no secret that I stalk people. So I stalked him and he was on my wish list as a dream guest and he said yes. So I'm very, very grateful for that. Again, thank you guys for being here. Have a great week. I will see you next week. Peace and love. Love you, gang. Bye-bye. See you next week.